Welcome back, everybody. I just did a Banlist video, but as per usual, originality be damned. I've seen a bunch of tier list videos go up already, so it's my turn to hop on the bandwagon while the Banlist is getting views. So here we are. I have made one myself for one of these tier lists because I just couldn't find one with every single band card with the correct format. So here we have that. And of course, you know I can't do this by myself, so I actually brought somebody who actually knows what they're doing this time. How you doing, Jacob? How you feeling?
Yo, hey, what's up, everybody? Adam, thank you for having me. Good to be here.
Good to have you on this one. Tried to get you on the last one, but scheduling conflicts, unfortunately. But good to have you on this one. Thanks for being on.
Yeah, for sure. We're gonna make an awesome tier list here. It'll be fun.
So basically what we have here, of course you see all the band cards beneath me, so we'll get to them as we go. We'll try to be brief because there are 99 cards here, but I mean, I really don't care how long the video goes. It's fun to make these. So the categories we have here: can never be unbanned, self-explanatory. Wish it could be unbanned. Basically, these are cards that of course you wish they could come off of the tier list, but like there's just some mechanic or some aspect about them that enables them to they just can't come off as much as you would like it to. Banned unless power creep is basically if the card gets power crept in the future, then maybe it could come back, but as is just can't. There's potential for it to come back, basically. Requires testing is a category basically for you think a card can come back, but you don't know what kind of floodgate you're opening with that card coming back, so you'd have to play around with it a bit. And we'll talk about those cards when we get to it. Can be unbanned if errata. I use that word kind of sparingly because I personally am not really a fan of erratas. I think you should just leave a card banned if it's that broken. And two of my favorite examples that I like to use about what I just hate that they've done with erratas are Firewall Dragon and Chaos Emperor Dragon. They should have just left it banned instead of giving them awful erratas. But like, erratas that would be so small that the card functions as it's supposed to is basically what that category is for. Two cards in particular, I'll explain when we get to them. And I'm probably safe to unban, also self-explanatory. But without further ado, let's just jump right in. Any other funny things to say before we get started?
Well, yeah, I agree with you. I'm going to try to avoid this errata section if we can. I'm not really much of a fan of erratas either. But yeah, we have we got a bunch of broken cards here, so let's run through them.
All right, first up, we have Arch Nemesis Protoss. This is one of the, I guess, kind of more recent ones a couple lists ago. I'm just going to put this one straight in, can never be unbanned. And not because I think it's, like, overly broken. There's cards that are obviously worse, but just locking your opponent out of an entire attribute as a game mechanic is just not fun.
Yeah, this card's overly broken. Yeah, we can't unban this card.
Gofu and Steam, I'm just gonna go ahead and do the same thing. Token generators are they're generic, they're splashable, and like Yu-Gi-Oh's history has shown that generating tokens is just not okay.
Yeah, Link Summoning broke this card. This card plus any normal summon is going to get you most likely Appaloosa, at least at the very minimum. I mean, format Link Summon. I mean, yeah, this card gets you 3 monsters on board. In the era of Link Summoning, we just can't have that.
Blaster's up next. I'm gonna just go ahead and we'll just go ahead and go through all the Dragon Rulers while we're here. Blaster, I think, actually would maybe be fine. I mean, its effect to discard and pop, that's really nothing special, and then just being able to special summon itself, I mean, cool. The only decks that would really do that are Dragon and Salad, although if you play this card in Salad, then just stop. But I mean, giving Dragons one more special summon, I think would be fine, I guess.
Yeah, I'm pretty indifferent on the Dragon Rulers here. I think we can bring them back. I mean, Blaster has applications with things like Salamangreat, which could potentially be fine, I guess, but that's not even really, I don't think that's real. Tidal as a water monster, you can maybe do some things with Mermail. So that one may be a little sus. Redox is the best one, but I'm not even sure that would be enough to really push a whole lot of decks. So you can put them in the testing category maybe, but I don't think they're... Blaster for sure can come off, but the other two might require testing.
Blaster, I would say, is a safe one to put in a safe to unban. Redox, I'm really hesitant about because it's an Earth, and you could give that to a deck like Adamantipator, which I don't think would be a good idea. Plus, you know, generic Reborn from the Grave is just... It's not even Reborn Earth from the Grave, it's Reborn any monster from the Grave. So that one, I would put in either Testing or Power Creep, minimum. I'll put in Testing, just to play around with it. And then Tidal, same deal, just Foolish any monster from the Grave that could have applications in water decks. I'll put those both in Testing at minimum, but you could interchange those with Banned and less Power Creep.
Yeah, as being dragon monsters makes them abusable, but having them at 1, I think, makes them a little bit less consistent. But yeah, I think Redox and Tidal for sure would require testing, but I'm good with Blaster coming to 7. I don't think that card's as good.
Up next we have Block Dragon. This one, I think at minimum is Power Creep, because you search 3 and summon itself for free, along with its built-in protection, is just a little ridiculous.
Oh, unlock the block, baby, let's go. But I don't know.
I forgot you were an Adamantipator player.
Yeah, this card is broken. Man, yeah, this card can't come back without Power Creep. This card is awesome. This card is super duper good. Adamantipator immediately becomes tier 1 if we have this card back. Now, without Union Carrier, this is less consistent. So if you put it at 1 and just kind of require the Adamantipator deck to just kind of get to it with Gallant Granite, which is an interruptible point, like I think at 1 you could potentially be a little okay, but yeah, it's definitely a card that is super duper broken.
Up next, Cyberjar. I think this can come back. It's a flip monster.
Yeah, it's a flip monster, so that card basically doesn't have an effect.
I'll go ahead and do I'll go ahead and do Fiberjar while I'm here too. I think that's fine to come back as well. Flip effect, and I mean, like, resetting everything and drawing a new hand really isn't all that bad anyway.
Yeah, Fiberjar putting back in the deck is a little bit different. You can maybe do some weird things with that, but yeah, being a flip effect, I don't care about that.
Dandelion, you are immediately going into can't be unbanned. We've established how big of a problem tokens are.
Yep, that's 2 free tokens. I don't need that in my life.
Also, not once per turn, fun fact.
Oh, yeah. Gotta love old Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Jin, another easy, not unbanned. Everybody claims that... hard copers claim that this can come back because every time MBT does some Banlist video, people play Jin and like, oh, Jin didn't do anything, it was Drytron. And then they pull off the Jin combo once and they're like,
Yeah, I don't need any like generic broken ritual support as long as Drytron is a deck. So yeah, we can leave that card off the list.
Eclipse Wyvern, I want to put this in like wish it could be unbanned at the minimum, because like I like dragons, they're cool, but like this gives way too much consistency and searchability for dragons.
Yeah, I like this card, but this is just one that if in the era of how Dragon Link and Dragon decks exist right now, it's just not. It's something that's very easy to abuse. I feel like you could probably bring it back if you ended up banning other stuff, but as of right now, with Chaos Ruler still legal in TCG, Eclipse Wyvern's not something that we can have.
Ava, I would kind of do. I'll put this one in a has to be power crept, because like just as it stands now, Ava was the problem with Drytron, just being able to keep getting fairies to your hand and be able to enable both the heralds or just extend your plays to do your combos. That was just too much.
Yes, I agree. This card would have to get power crept to come off the list. If you bring this back, Drytron's immediately back at the top.
Fishborg, this is just like, you could argue it's like power creep, because water decks aren't necessarily the best right now, but like, I don't know, this is either a power creep or just can't come back, because Fishborg enables a lot.
Yeah, but I feel like a lot of these cards can be solved, like a lot of these cards that we're going to get to can be solved by just banning Halqifibrax, but in a format where Halqifibrax is still legal, we have to keep cards like this on the list, unfortunately.
For now, I'll put that in testing, because hopefully Hulk will be banned on the next list. That's on like everybody's wish list, and then we can start talking about a lot more of these in a different light. But for now, I'll just put it in testing, and we can come back to it if we need to. Glow Up Bulb is... It's kind of the same vein. As long as Hulk is legal, then it's a bit more of a problem. This one, however, is just a bit more of a problem in general, just for the fact that it's a plant and Lone Fire Gober.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I group a lot of these cards together, like Glow Up, Fishborg, Olion. Like a lot of these cards, I think, have to be banned as long as Hulk is legal. If we ban Hulk, I think we can revisit these cards. Glow Up Bulb and Olion for sure. Like, I think they're a lot less good once Hulk gets banned, but with Hulk being legal, I think all these cards just have to stay banned. We started trying by taking Destrudo off the list, and it did nothing. I mean, it's a good card, but it's not warping the format or anything. So maybe we can start to slowly take some of these off the list. But for now, yeah, we got to ban them.
Does anything change for you with the fact that Glow Up Bulb's a plant, and like plants are obviously very good into getting into their own monsters?
Yeah, I mean, you could probably do some really good stuff with maybe the Rika deck or something, like Lone Fire, being able to summon it out. But I don't know that that specific card breaks those decks beyond what they can already do. But that would require testing, I think.
I'll just go ahead and put I'll throw O-Line in there because it's kind of along the same vein. I'll just put those both in requires testing, but this is all assuming that Needle Fiber gets banned, because as long as that's legal, then those would still be just easily abused.
Yeah, it's a moot point with Needle Fiber in the format, but for sure, assuming Fiber does get banned.
Up next, we got a couple of easy ones. Grinder Golem and Level Eater are both immediately going into cannot be unbanned. Kind of self-explanatory.
Yep. Yeah, Grinder Golem is a card that was made to be banned. Level Eater is an interesting one, but it being dark, I think, is actually what breaks it the most. So yeah, we can just leave that on the ban list. That's another card too that as soon as Link Summoning became a thing, that card got infinitely better.
Scientists, I like the card, so I'm gonna put it in wish it could be unbanned, but it's just like, just summon fusions, ignoring summoning condition, no restriction, not once per turn. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I feel like it's not as good as its reputation precedes it to be, but it's definitely something that is like, we could really abuse it, especially now with all the really broken fusions that we have. Like, we have tuners that are fusions, we have fusions that do things when they're summoned. It's just a card that if it resolves, I feel like it would win you the game. So we can keep that banned.
Current up next. I think this is fine. I mean, it doesn't have a scale effect, and sure, it can't be targeted or destroyed, and it's a quick effect target bounce, but I mean, that's nothing too crazy in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! We're seeing a lot more ridiculous stuff, and Electromite's banned, so like, that's fine.
Yeah, my wife loves this card, so I feel like she would kill me if I did not say this card can come back. Actually, what breaks this card the most is that it can't be targeted. I think that's honestly the best part about the card, but it's a card without Electromite. I feel like you could maybe try it at 1 and see what happens, but if we brought Electromite back, then we start to have a little bit more weird conversations about the card. But I mean, I would be fine testing it at 1 and see what happens. Pendulum decks, I feel like, are largely irrelevant right now. But it's being untargetable is really weird to me. But it's a good card, it's just a really good generic Pendulum card.
I'll just go ahead and throw out Electromite while we're on Pendulums, and then we can and then we'll have an easier time talking about the rest of the Pendulums. Electromite is just, I think it's got to go and wish it could be unbanned. It's a really cool card, but it's just, every Pendulum deck would play it. It's easily splashable in those, and like, you get free scales and a free draw off of it. That's just, it enables a lot.
Yeah, I mean, this is a fan favorite. It's a really popular card. I love the card as well personally. It's super duper good. But as soon as you unban this card, Pendulum decks become infinitely better. You're getting more Pendulum support coming up soon in Darkwing Blast with the new Draco Slayer cards. I mean, we have a card like Kieran that's really broken that gets infinitely better with Electromite unbanned. You have Astrograph, which is one of the best cards in the game in tandem with Electromite. I definitely wish this card could unban, but I think we would break it if it does. So you would have to maybe trade it back with Astrograph and put Astrograph back on the ban list, or I'm not sure. That's a tough one.
I think you just enable too much Pendulum stuff in general, so just keeping Electromite banned seems to keep the Pendulum archetype in, well, just the Pendulum mechanic in general. In
The Pendulum mechanic is, yeah, the Pendulum mechanic is a lot less good right now, just because you have to immediately start the game with 2 less cards by playing scales. But as soon as you take Electromite off, it really just negates that -2 off the jump. So. And then you can just plus, I mean, Astrograph gets you a plus bazillion. So, yeah, unfortunately, our friend has to stay on the list.
We brought up Draco Slayers earlier, so that's funny because the next card is Masterpiece, and I gotta put it in Wish It Could Be Unbanned as well. This card is the artwork's great. It's a really cool boss monster. I really like it. I wasn't around for this format, thankfully, because that just sounds really unfun. But it's just. It's Masterpiece.
Yeah, I am a fan of this card as well. But this is just the most anti-fun card that you could possibly have. I think as soon as you put this card back at 1, you have True Draco as an archetype immediately becoming splashable in other decks. You have it just as a deck being really good with infinite floodgates. And floodgates are the best traps right now that you can play. So and Masterpiece enables all of this. So yeah, we have to keep Masterpiece unbanned, but I definitely wish we could bring him back.
Max C can never be unbanned. Moving on. Mind Master.
No argument from me. No argument here.
Mind Master, I want to say can never be unbanned because like Psychics will always be good, but like I don't know, maybe there's potential for ban unless power creep, but like. Psychics will always be good. It's an FTK enabler, so like that makes me want to leave it unbanned or leave it banned forever. Zeaman also happens to be a psychic, by the way.
Yeah, this is a card that I always forget what this card even does. But I know that it's like just psychic support in general, like with teleport right now being at 3. Debatable whether or not it should be at 3. I don't think it should be, but with it currently at 3, cards like these get infinitely better. And then obviously with the Punk engine right now being enabled by Zeaman, a psychic monster, psychic support in general just is really suspect. So I think you would have to power creep this card.
I think I will put it in power creep for now, but it is an FTK enabler, which those I usually want to reserve for can never be unbanned, but yeah, for now, I'll just leave it in power creep, and I can come back to it if I need to. Harp Horror. Earlier, I would have immediately said that we can give this back to Orcust, but, like, right now, I don't know. Especially with Tier Element being released and being able to mill a bunch of stuff in the deck, that could just enable this again, and then it won't be as bad as, 2 monsters into Phoenix, into Mermaid, full Orcust combo, but... I don't know. A Harp Horror just gives a lot to Orcust and splashability.
Yeah, on the surface, Harp doesn't seem like a card that would be overly broken. But just with the way the game is played right now, like, again, my brain goes immediately back to Pepega Ruler. Like, just cards like that, and with Tier Element being the best deck in the format right now, Harp would immediately make Orcust not only playable, but instantly tiered. You would jump it immediately from the rogue status. I mean, you would be splashing this in just about any deck that you could, especially in the TCG. Orcust is a very popular archetype here, so we would find ways to break it in whatever deck we could.
I think for now I'm going to put it in at least power creep, because like I really don't want to give Tier Element a searchable counter trap and the Orcust engine to go with that. So I'll put it there for now.
For sure. Definitely like cards like this, like, a lot of other cards we're going to get to. A lot of this too, like as long as you have Chaos Ruler, legal, just it enables so much of what these cards are really good at.
Plush Fire. This one, my mind immediately goes to requires testing, because like Electromite is banned, but I mean, this summons itself from the scale basically for free because it has to be popped. But I mean, that's really easy to do in Pendulum. And then if it's destroyed again from the field, I think it specials another Plush Fire or a Perform H from the deck. That's on the surface that doesn't necessarily seem so bad, but like I don't know. That's 2 potential free summons, which is really easy to enable in Pendulum.
Yeah, I'm a little indifferent on this card as well. With Electromite banned, I feel like you could test this card back. But if we're talking about unbanning Electromite, then this gets a little bit more suspect. But I think you could test this card, honestly. I don't know how good it would be.
I'd put it along the same lines as Monkey Board and Tiger. I mean, when they first announced their unban, everybody was worried about it, and then they ended up not really doing it. Well, you could argue Tiger now because there are some tier element lists doing that. But I mean, with testing, I think we could see what
again, like all these like really good Pendulum cards are like automatically just inherently worse with Electromite being banned, but there are some of them that just are generically good, you know, like we discussed Karen earlier, but they're all like just significantly worse with Electromite banned.
Cluster Amaryllis, I just don't like FTK enablers. It's the plant deck, easy to set up, burn your opponent to death. It's not once per turn, and just like that's not a good time.
Yeah, this one scares me a lot more than Mind Master, honestly. So yeah, I don't ever want to see this card again.
I'm gonna go ahead and throw some Sorrow Lotus up there as well, because basically.
Yep, I was about to say, yeah, exactly. We can go ahead and put Lotus up there too.
Master Plan. I wasn't playing during Spiral format, but dear God, going back and watching some of those videos, this card is just it searches. What is it? It searches like 3 cards in its lifespan, like on summon, and then when it goes to grave, you search 2 more. That's kind of nuts.
Yeah, it's a nightmare, honestly. Spiral being any format that Spiral is really good is not a fun format. So I don't want to see Spiral in the format anymore. So keep this card far away from me on the list.
I'm gonna put it in power creep, but that's like at minimum. This could potentially go higher because Spiral is really good.
Yeah, for sure. It'll be a deck that I think eventually will get power crept, so we can take these cards off the list. But it's just so much unfun to play against. Like it's super not fun.
Substitute. This is power creep at minimum, if not can never be unbanned, because like the frogs are usually always good, and especially now that Splight exists, just absolutely not.
Oh yeah, for sure. This would immediately change. This would change the game for Splight decks. With Totally Awesome being at 3, this would do a lot of stuff. Yeah, this card would do a lot of stuff.
I'm gonna put it in can never be unbanned, but like we can revisit this if something happens to the other frogs on the list. But for now, that's just going straight in. Can't be unbanned. Tyrant Neptune, copies effects, generic. You're going straight into can't be unbanned.
Yeah, this is just this card, and we can go to the Supreme King Dragon as well. Like I think these cards kind of do the same thing. These are just weird cards that do weird things that, you know, as soon as some weird FTKs come out, they're always involved somehow. So yeah, let's just keep them on the list.
Victory Dragon, I want to put this in either wish it could be unbanned or can never be unbanned, because this is really only banned because it's a Ruling's Nightmare, which is tragic because this card is hilarious.
Yeah, like this card should be unbanned, honestly. Like I think Konami can really easily just maybe make some kind of ruling adjustment, or even like this could be one that you could errata, honestly, to eliminate some of the ruling nightmares. So you could put this in the errata category just to eliminate a lot of like the ruling headaches that this card would cause. But cards like these are cool, and it's the only one that's technically quote unquote legal. I mean, it's banned, but it's a playable card. So just give it some kind of weird clause or something to where we just can't use it.
Comments, have at it. What kind of errata would fix that card? That's I'll leave that up to you. But getting into the fusions, that is all the main decks. Norden, this is really mostly enabled by instant fusion, which is at 1 and may potentially be banned on the next list if they want to try and hit tier element without hitting tier element. I mean, it enables rank 4 play a lot easier, was its main thing, but I mean, I guess it's also 2 free bodies. I don't know, it really kind of lives and dies by instant fusion, because its normal summoning procedure is a little bit too high.
Yeah, this card with instant fusion instant fusion makes this card. There was a time during Zodiac format where we were playing fusion substitute to make this card, but I don't think this card should be legal. It enables a lot of things. It's Instant Fusion is technically still legal, so this would just make a lot of decks that run Instant Fusion infinitely better. More decks would be inclined to play Instant Fusion as well as a one of just to play this card. We got to keep this card banned.
I'll put it in Power Creep at minimum, just for because we'll await the fate of Instant Fusion and see what happens after that. Colossus, you're going straight into Wish It Could Be Unbanned. This is the card that everybody wishes could come back just because it's a cool boss monster, but like you just can't. Especially with Nemesis Corridor, you would literally just splash it in any deck.
Yeah, this is like my favorite card ever. I wish with all my heart that this card could be unbanned. Honestly, I'm less hard on Nemesis Corridor being an abusable, splashable, every deck can make Colossus kind of card. I don't think it's as good as people say it is. However, I think now, and again, in a format where Pepega Ruler is in every deck, right now, being in a tier limit deck, milling 8 cards, I think Colossus, it would be very, very, very relevant. It gatekeeps a lot of roguish decks. It makes a lot of decks worse. This is just such a good, awesome, amazing boss monster for a really, really cool deck, but personal favorite of mine, but we have to keep them banned for now, unfortunately.
On to Lynx, Agripane, and LP. I want to PTSD to Dragons. I want to immediately put these into Can Never Be Unbanned. Agripane, I think I'll definitely put there just because cheating a monster out of the extra deck, ignoring its conditions, is just ridiculous. LP, I want to either put there or in Power Creep, just because generically summoning any dragon from the deck, that seems like it can be power crept, but Dragons is probably the most supported archetype and will always continue to receive support from Konami, so like, I'm kind of just inclined to leave it in Can Never Be Unbanned as well.
Yeah, Guard Dragons are cards that, those are cards that were created to be banned. You can even argue that Pisty should be banned, but I mean, obviously it's the worst of the 3. LP is a card that got other cards banned. It got Red Eyes and Errata. Yeah, these poor amazing dragons need to stay on the list.
The Nightmares Mermaid is immediately going into Can Never Be Unbanned. Full Orcus combo, splashable in every deck, does not need to happen again. And then just now that Nightmare Corruptor Ibly exists as well, especially in this format, absolutely not.
Yep, Goblin, Mermaid, ban them all. We got to keep them banned. Goblin would be kind of cool, I think, to test, but they're both really, really, really strong.
I was gonna say Goblin could like maybe go to testing minimum, because I mean an additional normal summon with the setup of Goblin really isn't all that impressive anymore. Like I'm trying to picture what would use that, and nothing comes to mind off the top of my head.
Yeah, I mean, you have danger decks, so as long as you have dangers that are legal and at multiple copies, like right now we have 3 Nessie, I think danger decks make Nightmares a lot better, just being different names. So I think Goblin would be something that would be abused. I think it would be a fun card to play with, so I think it'd be cool to unban it and just see what happens. You would have a lot of really cool stuff, but I think until it gets power crept somehow, I don't know how you would power creep this card, honestly, but yeah.
I'll put it in, I'll probably put it in testing. I'll put it in power creep. I want to put it in testing because it'd be fun to see what people would do with it, but I think with everything else running around right now, I just want to err on the side of caution. It really depends on how you argue this card's case, but for now, I'll just put it in power creep. Something that I do not have to argue, Linkross and Aurora Dawn are immediately going into staying banned. Konami did not learn its lesson with tokens and then proceeded to print these cards for whatever godforsaken reason.
Yeah, I don't know how Aurora Dawn lived as long as it did, to be honest.
The argument was for as long as Hulk is enabled, and then like when other decks abusing it fell off, but then they printed more things that work with it, and here we are.
Yep, and I mean, so many of these cards are banned because of they all died for Hulk of Fibrax's sins. But even with Hulk being banned, I think you got to keep Aurora Dawn there for sure.
Hulk is what enabled Aurora Dawn a lot more, but just like a card being more easily enabled by another card doesn't make that card not have a broken trait about it. I mean, summoning 3 tokens and then extending with Mecha Phantom Beasts in the deck, I just think should not exist. Meow Mew. This one's a bit tougher because, like, power creep did just immediately happen with Splight Enter Element, but I mean, this card lets Prank Kid be a 1-card engine, which I don't think should exist. Like, you could literally open hand trap, adventure engine, 1 prank kid, and you have full combo plus your opponent's not having a good day.
Yeah, I think this card making Prank Kids 1 card engine is what is really, really strong. It's really annoying. It kept Prank Kids alive as a top tier deck for a really long time. I think you could revisit testing this card once power creep. I mean, I think we're in a phase of power creep right now with Splight and Tier Element. I don't know though that 1 card engines coming back would be something I would want to revisit with this, but I don't like this card personally. I don't like the Prank Kid deck, but I think you could test this card once we power creep Prank Kids out of consistent formats.
For now, I think I'm inclined to put this in power creep, if nothing else, just for the PTSD of always getting screwed by this deck. But depending on what happens in the future, we can see what happens and revisit it, especially once we learn the fate of the adventure engine on future ban lists. But for now, I'm just inclined to shove this to the side. Verte, I am immediately putting in stay banned because 2 monsters equaling. Oh no, you were disrupted. Anyway, I have 2 monsters. Here's Enforcer and or Dragoon. I don't think that needs to happen again.
Yep, this card was made to be banned, so ban it as it should have been when it got printed. It prevents future card design. This is a banned card.
My heart aches for the Cyber Dragon players, and I personally love playing Cyber Dragon, so that makes me sad, but as unfortunate as that is, this card cannot come back, unfortunately. Simorg. This is another weird one, because, like, power creep just happens, the birds have definitely fallen off, but, like, you still summon a floodgate out of your deck or an Omni Negate out of your deck for free with this on top of your other board, so, like, it's not really something I want to enable. I'm not sure where I would put this.
Yeah, I think you can power creep this card. I think I would be more inclined to take this card off the list if we didn't have Barrier Statue. This I think would be a fun card to mess with and see what happens, but I don't like the Barrier Statue existing, so if you traded one for the other one, I would be fine with that. So I would probably just wait for power creep on this one.
That sounds about right. I think I'll put it there for now. What I'm not putting there, however, is Summon Sorceress and Gumblar can immediately go into staying banned. Summon any monster from your deck, and FTK rip your opponent's cards out of your hand. I don't think so.
Yep, we unfortunately or fortunately never got to experience Hulk into Summon Sorceress into Gumblar into Firewall, but
oh my dear God, I don't even want to picture it.
But we did have Goki combo with Summon Sorceress. That was a fun card to use. I missed the Sorceress, but yeah, she was made to be banned as well. Same with Gumblar.
Union Carrier. So this is actually one that I when I was thinking up ideas for this tier list, this is actually how I landed on the can be unbanned if it has an errata category. My reasoning behind this is if you give it like the smallest of erratas to say something like its materials are 2 monsters, including a Union monster, and then it can only equip a Union monster from deck. That, I feel, falls more in line with how the card was designed to function, instead of, Drychon combo, equip Dawn Knight, keep extending.
Yeah, I could get on board with that logic. If you make this card just Union support, it immediately becomes a lot worse. We're not equipping Dragon Buster, Destruction Sword. We're not unlocking our opponent out of the extra deck, and we're not equipping Block Dragon to search 3 cards. We're not doing all these kind of crazy things. We're not basically getting any monster out of the deck that we want. So I think, if you made it a Union support card, that would be fair. But otherwise, this card is banned forever.
Yeah, if it stays as is, this card immediately goes into never can come back. But give it that errata, or that type of errata at least, then it does. Again, I'm not a fan of erratas, but if it's the slightest change that makes the card function as it should, then I'm more inclined to be in favor of that. So depending on how you argue this card, that's where you could put it. One that is less harder to argue, though, is Ancient Fairy. I don't think this can. There's too much shenanigans you can do with field spells. I don't think this can come back. Plus, free special summon from your hand, by the way. Not once per turn or soft once per turn on both of those, by the way.
Yeah, this card has 2 very different effects, like field spell support and then summon monsters out of your hand. Those are 2 very different things. Both very broken. This is a very broken card. you could do some fun things with it if you brought it off the list, I think, and maybe took some field spells away, like Mystic Mind. But yeah, we got to keep this card banned. This card is really, really good. It enables a lot of really broken things.
Especially as long as Mine is legal. Like, everybody is hoping and praying that Mine gets banned on this next list, but especially as long as Mine is legal, this card just is not allowed to see the light of day. Next we have, I talk about this every single time banned cards come up. I have discussions / arguments with several people every time Denglong First of the Yangzing comes up.
Goodness.
I am always inclined to say that I don't think this card can come back, especially now that Sword Soul exists. I understand it's a little bit harder for Sword Soul to be able to do this as opposed to how they do it in Master Duel because, you know, Hulk, Rorodon, O-Lion in that game. But, like, the fact remains they can still do it, and it's really, really good worm support on top of giving you a counter trap.
Yeah, I actually grouped this card and Ib, the World Chalice card. I think those are basically the same card to me. They're both really, really good, but they're not like overly insane to where you could like just immediately slam the door on them ever coming back. I think Dinglong and Sword Soul is very interesting. I think Ib is a little bit more abusable than Dinglong is. I think you could test them and just see what happens, but they're super duper good.
I was originally more inclined to put these in the power creep category, but I don't know. Testing, I guess we could see what they would do. I think Ib would absolutely be the bigger problem because I mean, just first of all, search any World Legacy card. Search Succession and get a Reborn for free is pretty good, I hear. And then just summon any World Legacy except itself from deck or grave. I mean, that's just asking for extension out the ass. The next easiest one to go into a Tempest Magician needs no discussion. That can never come back. Easiest FTK enabler of my life, especially now that Selene exists.
Oh yeah, I hate this card. We don't even need to talk about it.
Lavalval Chain is another easy, can't be unbanned. Generic rank 4 that says foolish any card. You do the math.
Yeah, this card is, I think Curious is actually approaching Laval Chain category, just being able to send anything you want to the grave. So if Curious is a bannable card, then yeah, this card is crazy.
Curious at the very least requires just like the weird setup of the different types of materials you have to have. Lavalval Chain is just like, why was this printed?
Yep, I agree.
Saber Invoker, I'm inclined to think this card is more okay since Zodiac has been kind of neutered. I mean, like the main purpose of this card was just summon a Zodiac from the deck.
I think you can unban this card. It's pretty good for what it does. I mean, it makes Zodiac a bit of a better engine. I don't know that it would totally break the game if it came back though. I would be fine this card coming back.
It's 2 level 3s as well, which is kind of weird, especially for a Zodiac deck. So especially that since Broad Bull, Trident, and Barrage are all gone, this would be fine, I think.
Yeah, every good Zodiac card is banned right now. I mean, Teleport being at 3 does make this card a little bit weirder, but I don't know. Maybe somebody in the comment section will disagree and tell me all this broken combo you can do with Invoker, but I think it's fine to come off the list.
What's the restrictions? Like summon a Earth Warrior or an Earth Beast Warrior?
It's an Earth level 3 or lower, I think. I don't remember. It's been a while since I played that card.
Oh no, I think it's two level 3s for the material, and then I think it summons a you can either summon a level 4 Earth Warrior or a level 4 Earth Beast Warrior. So I mean, sure, I guess I don't know.
Yeah, Goki made this card really good too, but I don't know that with so many broken Link monsters being banned that Goki would all of a sudden come back to power with this card coming back.
This one I'm inclined to say it's okay to come back. You can tell me different in the comments if, again, if you have some broken combo that you've come up with using Saber Invoker, feel free to share. Shockmaster Tomahawk and Raga Miniad are all easily going into staying banned. These can never come back, ever.
Yep. Shockmaster is the ultimate meme ban card, I think, but yeah, we have to keep these cards banned forever.
Dark Matter, I was originally inclined to immediately say that this is the upper tiers of like can't come back or like has to be massive power creep. this is kind of more difficult to set up than what dragons are already doing, and like foolish 3 dragons. I mean, the dragon rulers are banned, so like, eh.
Yeah, this card was the most unfair during the format that it existed. You were able to set up like an extra deck lock with this card. But I don't know that this card does anything differently than what dragons are currently doing. And again, my brain immediately goes back to Chaos Ruler. But it's a very good card, so I would have to test it first before allowing it to come back.
This is testing minimum, but this can be argued for some different cases, just depending on the context. I'll just put it in testing for now. Something I will never ever put in testing is Zexal and Azathoth. These can stay right the hell where they are.
Oh yeah, Azathoth can burn in hell.
I just go back to the day that Zexal was announced that it was banned. Just to be that guy, I came to locals the next day and tried to play Numeron Zexal. But of course, our locals being our locals, we decided to implement the ban list early. So then I was playing Numeron spam outs. What is it? Megaclops, and then I just got rolled by everybody because they're like, okay, anyway, activate Afterburners for Striker, activate Raigeki.
Yep, take the FTK away from the FTK deck and it does nothing.
Of course. Ptolemaeus, this one, honestly, realistically, what does this do other than like summon Infinity for free? And that's really nothing crazy nowadays. The only other thing that gives me pause is like its other condition of skipping your opponent's turn. Now that requires 7 materials, of course, but like there are decks like Phantom Knight that can do that, which it's obviously not easy and very disruptible, but like that's the only thing that gives me pause, because skipping your opponent's turn entirely is pretty good, I hear.
Yeah, I don't know that this card would be relevant if it came back. I don't know that it's overly overpowered. For sure, test it, but it can probably come back.
This is testing minimum. Yeah, I'll just put it in unban. I think it's fine. If PK breaks this, then like sure, you deserve it. Go ahead. Calamities, absolutely not.
Yep.
Zenmaity, the Hunter loop is really annoying. If you ban Hunter, then this can come back, and I would like to see what wind-up players do with this. As it stands, though, I mean, the Hunter loop would still be very possible with this. Like, I'm really not sure what to do with this one.
Yeah, I think Zenmaity can come back. I mean, the wind-up combo is a pretty good link spam combo at this point, but if you ban Hunter, then this card can definitely come back.
I'll put it in the unban, but this is that's under the pretext that Hunter would be banned. If you leave Hunter legal, then I would at minimum put this in testing at the very least. For sure. Broad Bull, there used to be an argument for it, but ever since they made Fractal, I just don't. This is power creep at the very least, but I think I'm more inclined to put it in wish it could be unbanned. Zodiac is really cool. Broad Bull's a cool card, but like this just does way too much. Beast, Beast Warrior, and Wing Beast are just way too good.
Yeah, Zodiac is a really cool archetype, but I mean, I would put this card, Trident, and Barrage like all in the same category. With Tri-Brigade being a thing, these cards get infinitely better. Broad Bull especially, so I think you just leave all these cards banned.
Broad Bull, I think, is a wish it could be. Trident, honestly, Trident, now that I think about it, if you give it an errata that says you can only pop your opponent's cards, because one of the reasons that Trident was so good was you can pop your own cards and extend it with your own combos. If you errata it to say only your opponent's cards, then honestly, I think that's kind of a nice fix for the card.
Yeah, but I just don't like errataing cards, to be honest. I think it takes the spirit away of what the card is. It like just takes the soul away from the card. Like if any of these were to come back, I would say Barrage is probably the one that can come back the most, but and then like if I had to rank them, it would be Broad Bull 1, Trident 2, Barrage 3, but I'm just fine with all of them being banned.
Barrage is testing. That's fine. You could do that, especially with Broad Bull and Trident banned. Trident, if you argue the errata thing, it could go down there. Broad Bull, I just think wish it could be unbanned because that it just does too much. Easy one though, Brilliant Fusion, just it can't, especially now that Tier Limit exists.
Nope. Yeah, Brilliant Fusion is way too strong.
Butterfly Dagger Elma, I mean, this isn't the most broken thing, but I just think if something has the potential to be an infinitely recurable resource, I just don't think that's healthy for the game.
Yeah, it's a weird one because I don't know what exactly it would do. But it's definitely an infinite resource, which we technically kind of have in with the Phoenix Blade. I think you can unban this card. Honestly, I don't know what it would do. That would be overall that insane. The spell counter thing is kind of funny. I just don't think it's that viable. So I would unban this card.
I used to immediately just put this in can't be unbanned, but just for fun, I'll put this in let's test it. Because if somebody can come up with something, I'm pretty sure Royal Magical Librarian Gearfried has been power crept. So if anybody can come up with anything funny with that card, I'd love to see it. Card of Safe Return is no.
Yeah, it's a very abusable. It's really abusable. It's a little bit weird. Cards like that are just unsearchable, continuous. It's a weird one. I think this Mirage of Nightmare are kind of in the same category for me. I think you could maybe see what happened if you could unban them. They would be really good and strong, but I don't know that they would. I don't think they're fair enough to unban.
Let's discuss all the. I guess we can just throw all the draw spells in here right now. Pretty much all these I'm inclined to put in can't be unbanned. Card of Safe Return. I mean, there's so many decks to summon from the grave, so you literally just get resources for free. Chicken Game, the reason this is worse than cards like One Day of Peace and Upstart Goblin and all those that are still legal right now is that it's a field spell, which makes it more searchable, and it has the added bonuses of it can't be responded to, and as long as your life points are lower, you can't take damage, which is actually very funny with Punk if you think about it, because keep paying 6, pay 1,000 more, draw a card. By the way, now I drop Psychic and Punisher on you, die for your sins.
Yeah, this card is crazy. I would keep this banned. Pot of Greed, obviously banned. Graceful Charity banned. Chicken Game is a funny one. It's kind of fun, but I think we just keep this card banned.
I think it just allows too much. As funny as it would be to bring it back, I think Chicken Game is just too good as stands. Couple more easy ones. Cold Wave, and then you can throw True Nade and Heavy Storm. These just can't come back. They're just too good as constituted.
Yeah, so many good old spell cards. Crazy how old Yu-Gi-Oh just was with card design. Yeah, leave these cards banned forever.
I know there'll be like those 1 or 2 people in the comments that try to argue on behalf of Heavy Storm because we have cards like Lightning Storm and Feather Duster is now legal. I would like to remind you that Heavy Storm destroys your own cards, and I don't think I need to mention how good that would be in Yu-Gi-Oh! That is not something that needs to exist.
Yeah, you could argue Heavy Storm, to be honest, but I just don't think you could do that.
All the hand rep cards are just easy ones to talk about. Confiscation, Delinquent Duo, Forceful Century. These just they're all equally broken in same ways. Confiscation, Forceful Century give you hand knowledge on top of getting rid of a card, either discarding it or shuffling it, and then Delinquent Duo just discard 2. You could argue that that's slightly better technically because you could trigger a hand effect, but like just on paper, a free +1 ripping 2 cards out of your opponent's hands is just stupid.
Yep, these cards are banned forever. Looking at the opponent's hand, we just can't have that anymore.
Dimension Fusion and by extension, where is it? A Return from a Different Dimension. These just they can't. Banishing cards is far too easy, and then summoning them all back for free. You're just asking for a nightmare.
Yeah, Return being a trap card makes it the worst one, but they're both infinitely broken, especially now with how the banish pile is essentially a third hand at this point. We just can't bring those cards back.
Kai's Coliseum, that's just easy. No, that's probably the most oppressive floodgate ever printed. You could argue maybe mine, but like Kaiser Coliseum is just stupid.
Yeah, I hate this card. This is in the same category as mine. Like this card existing would be super unfun. Imagine like normal summon Inspector Border, activate this card.
God.
Set 3 traps. Nope. I'm done.
Doesn't this actually exist in Master Duel? Isn't that a thing that happens?
I haven't played Master Duel in a while, so I'd have no idea. But if it does, then yikes.
Last Will, that doesn't even need to be talked about.
Yep.
Mass Driver, on paper, this has been power crept and isn't as good, but I just don't think FTK enablers like this should be a thing. So, like, you could argue that power creep has taken its hold, but I just don't think that's something you should enable.
Yep, I agree. It's probably been power crept, but this is an FTK card, and we shouldn't have FTK cards in the game.
Metamorphosis is an easy no, just very minimal restriction on this, and just cheat stuff out of the extra deck for free.
Yeah, I don't know how broken it is, to be honest, right now, but it definitely prevents future card design, so it's a weird one.
I'll actually push this one under Wish It Could Be Unbanned because the concept is really, really cool, but it just same line as Verte, just limits card design and would enable far too much. Mirage of Nightmare I actually forgot to put up with Pot of Greed and all those. I would very much not like my opponent to go full combo, end on no cards, and then draw 4 hand traps. That would be a thing that I would not like to happen. Painful Choice is just foolish 5 and search 1. I know.
Yeah, Painful Choice. We can't have that anymore. Premature Burial is a funny one too. Sorry, getting ahead of the game here. I think that card being an equip spell is really funny, but being able to like bounce it back with something like a Zephyros or something is really, really, really good. And then having Isolde being like equip spell support, essentially, like synergy with warrior decks there. All these cards are just super bannable.
Premature, I think I could put in Wish It Could Be Unbanned because as cool as it is, it just can't, being an equip spell and being searchable. Smoke Grenade, like as hard as Infernoble was hit, just cards that enable hand loop I don't think should be a thing, so I think that needs to stay banned. Snatch Steal, I think same thing along the lines of Premature. I'll put this in with Premature Burial and wishing that it could be unbanned because like on paper it doesn't seem too bad because we just unbanned Change of Heart and it has done literally nothing, but just the fact alone that it's an equip spell and that it's searchable and then you can recur it just makes that such a problem.
Yeah, for sure. We tried it once and it did not go well, so I think we just keep this card banned.
Soul Charge is another easy, just like, that's not even debatable. This can't come back.
Oh yeah, one of the best cards ever printed. We have to keep this card banned forever.
Spellbook of Judgment. This one always gets funny talking about it because you have people that say it can immediately be unbanned. You have people that say this card should never come back. Me personally, I wasn't around for Spellbook format, so I didn't have to go through that headache. For this, I mean, yeah, it does only enable you to search a bunch of Spellbook cards from the deck, which you need to, like, survive to turn 3 to really take advantage of. But just the fact that it special summons a Spellcaster as well, and that it is on paper, you know, +3 or +4, I just don't know. At minimum, this requires testing. I don't know how I feel about this.
Yeah, this card's really good. I don't know that it's overly insane in a current modern Yu-Gi-Oh to where it would be totally the best card ever. I think you could test it coming back and just see what happens. I don't know that spellbooks, like just as an engine, are as good as like a Sky Striker engine potentially, or even like with Ruinic coming out, like that being just a generic good spell card engine. I would probably put this as worse than both of those, but it's a really good card. I mean, you can go +7, +8. I mean, it's a very, very strong card, but I think you can maybe test it and see what happens. I don't know. It's a fun one for me.
What I actually imagine in my head is you go Spellbook combo, and then you have Secret Village, and you summon Spellcaster from deck, so you go like +4 plus Secret Village, and that just
and you would summon a Jowgen or a Kaiku or some kind of floodgate out of your deck, which I don't know how good that is in modern Yu-Gi-Oh, but it's definitely something that would happen for sure. You would have stun-ish type decks playing this card.
This one's testing minimum. I'm a little hesitant, but I'll just leave it there for now, and we'll, I don't know, it'd be fun to play around with and see what people do with it. Grass, look, I get it, it's you can't draw the 3 of in 60-card deck. Okay, but the 60-card decks can function without Grass. Grass is just the I win button. I don't think people understand how good milling 20 cards is, especially now that Tearlament exists.
Yeah, this card can never come back. So many graveyard effects, so many decks that have good just graveyard recursion that I think unless it existed to where every deck in the entire format was playing 60 cards and make this card unplayable, you could bring it back. But as long as there's discrepancy between 60 and 40, we can't bring this back. We can't ever mill 20.
Another easy one, Imperial Order. Look, we tried giving it Nirada. It didn't help. Just let us activate spell cards, please.
Yeah, what a terrible errata, by the way.
What was that even supposed to be? Like, oh no, it's mandatory. Anyway. Last turn.
Whatever.
Last turn. I just did a video on this one for Goat. This one is.
This is a weird card. I don't know that you can actually resolve this card in Modern Yu-Gi-Oh, to be honest.
This one's mainly just here because of, like, Ruling's Nightmares, because, like, a draw in Game 1 or Game 2 that requires a Game 3 is just a headache to deal with. Resolving this is, like, if you can build a deck that resolve this, I honestly think that's fine. But, like,
yeah, I mean,
this is really just here for the Ruling Nightmare.
Yeah, go for it. Build your last turn deck. That's just... I don't know how real that is.
You know what? I'm just putting this in unbanned. I'm just putting this in unbanned for the fun.
It'd be funny to pull that off.
Royal Oppression and Vanities are immediately going in.
Yep. Yeah, we can't have that anymore. Now, these next two are fun. I think Trap Dust Shoot is a terrible card. I think you have a pointer that exists. I don't think Dust Shoot's a real card. I don't... you have a pointer, like I said, that does the same thing. Ultimate Offering, I don't know, is a good card either. So I think you could test both of these cards coming back.
Dust Shoot, the only
I guess
reason
that's my hot take of the video.
I'm hesitant with Dust Shoot because yes, we have cards like a pointer, but Dust Shoot is just literally there's no maintenance cost for it. Like, you don't have to pay life points, you don't have to reveal your own hand, and you shuffle a monster back for free. That's the only reason I'm hesitant. Like, it's along the same lines of the hand rip cards, which is why I'm inclined to say it just can't come back. Ultimate Offering, I really think, honestly, I think that's fine. You could probably just unban this card, and nothing will happen.
Oh yeah, Ultimate Offering coming back, I think, would do approximately nothing. It would be kind of weird and funny with, like, I guess gadgets. I don't know, but I don't know that that's real.
Self-destruct button is really and truly just here because of the rulings. It's the same reason as last turn. I'm honestly just gonna put this in unbanned just because of last turn. I want to see the funny draw shenanigans.
Yeah, it's not real. You can bring that card back.
Something you can never bring back though is Sixth Sense. This card literally says draw 6 or mill 1 to 5. Abso-fucking-lutely not.
Yeah, no.
And is that? I think that is all. That was okay.
Yeah, we made it. I didn't realize how many banned cards existed.
Yeah, I had to count these to make sure I had this all. There are 99 banned cards in the Yu-Gi-Oh trading card game.
Yeah, well, that was fun. Thank you for having me, Adam. That was an experience, a trip down memory lane.
Oh, absolutely. Stuff like this is really fun to do, especially when we have a ban list looming around the corner. I'm probably going to revisit this in the future, so these are fun to do. Any other final closing statements? I think we got everything as far as the cards are concerned.
Nah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Hope to have you in future videos coming up. And you in the comments, we left you plenty of bait to comment what you think about our opinions and about these cards in the errata category. But I just leave it to you from there, and we'll see what happens with the actual ban lists, both upcoming, like in a week or two, hopefully, and in the future. But beyond that, thanks for tuning in, and have a good rest of the day.
Yep, see you on the next one. Later.